not Milhouse.
No, I'm just Milhouse when he gets hurt. Oh.
Hey guys, it's me. I'm back again, transitioning editing apps, so hopefully all runs smoothly. But hey, I'm amped, so I guess we'll see how it all goes. Today, probably a shorter one. I'm often scared to do a video under 10 minutes, but I've done it before by like 20 seconds, but still, it was under, so probably fine. Yesterday, at least it was yesterday as of recording, it was announced Pamela Hayden, the voice of Milhouse, Jimbo and Rod, and many other characters, is going to retire next week. Well, you know, she's probably already retired. Apparently her last episode is next week. It does bring up an interesting topic. Is she going to be recast? Are they going to retire her characters? Or are they going to do some blend where some are written out or, you know, killed off or anything, and then they recast the rest? I do feel like the provided context already answers the question, and the answer feels a bit obvious, but I'll save that for the end because, you know, gotta have something to deliver. Anyway, Pamela's last outing as Milhouse will be in the full Treehouse of Horror episode. It's kind of a pseudo-episode. Think not it from a few years back. Even then, it's still technically not her last appearance. I think it's just the last thing she voiced. Now, I know what you're thinking. They can't kill Milhouse off or write him out of the show, but honestly, I don't think anyone would care if they would. He's such a little creep, and I'd welcome his departure. It seems in most timelines, Lisa either breaks up with him at some point, or she's miserable because she stays with him. He's not depicted as a good guy. I don't think they'd go as far as killing off a child character, but maybe he can move away and be replaced by someone else. Maybe Hubert Wong, they included him in a canon episode recently. Hubert is also one of the 3 characters who's depicted ending up with Lisa. Sometimes he's a rival, but you know, it's there, so replace a love interest with a love interest. Who knows, maybe this one isn't a complete creep. The only other character I see there being a problem with the specific voice, other than one-off characters, is Jimbo. But I don't think you'd get as much of a reaction if you retired his character or recast him. People probably just wouldn't notice or wouldn't care. Still, overall, I view retiring Milhouse's character as a major loss. Despite how much of a creep he is, he's iconic and his parents are pretty prevalent in the show. And is it fair to point out someone's flaws in The Simpsons when realistically you can look over your shoulder and see someone far worse? In terms of recasts, as much as I hate saying it, I think you'd need impressionists for Milhouse and Jimbo. I did say it in a previous video. I'm typically against finding sound-alikes, but for someone like Dr. Hibbert, it just doesn't fit because half of his character was his voice. I feel like the new actor has been coming into his own in season 36, but it's still not the same. Whereas characters like Lou and Carl, their voices weren't really part of their character. It doesn't matter if they don't sound exactly the same, it more matters if they can capture the emotion and feel of that character, which, when the voice isn't part of the feels, their character doesn't hinge on their voice. But on that note, I think Jimbo and Milhouse definitely do hinge on their voice. Jimbo especially because he rarely has emotional moments. I mean, he does, but not as often as a character like Milhouse though. So Jimbo probably needs a recast. No one would probably even notice. With Milhouse, if they do recast, I think they're going to need to find someone who can do both, but I don't know if that's a thing. I mean, Rick and Morty did it, and overall, I'd say the new voices are actually better, and apparently they had to dub over what was already there, so they've done an amazing job. I'm praying The Simpsons could do a good job, because it'll be weird if Milhouse just has a random voice. I mean, they already recast Janie, who was voiced by Pamela. Personally, I think it's really noticeable, but I imagine most people haven't noticed. Most people probably haven't even watched an episode where she's recast, but I feel like if they did watch one, they wouldn't notice anyway, so I'm just someone who's obsessed with cartoons. Someone probably wouldn't notice unless you told them, and even then, I don't know that they'd care. especially with a character as minor as Janie. They've also already recast Sarah, so that's another character they don't have to worry about. But it's very, very jarring, but I'm pretty sure she had a total of like 2 speaking roles, unless you count the game. Probably another case where no one's going to notice unless they watch it a lot or have seen 1 or 2 episodes a few times. I do feel like the original Sarah did hinge on her voice, but with the way they actually changed her character and the fact that she rarely spoke, I feel like I can't argue with it. The recast versus retire process does seem to be a major thought process in the Simpsons crew, like with lunch lady Dora's VA. She died. They ended up replacing her but renaming the character and saying it was her sister or something. When characters like Edna Krabappel or Troy McClure died, they just completely retired the character. When Russie Taylor died, it's probably Russie, I probably butchered that, I feel like all of her characters were recast, and they were all child characters, one of them pretty prominent and with a bit of an out there voice. It was Martin. Not as iconic as a voice as Milhouse, but I feel like, it's possible to recast a character like this. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, none of her characters were retired unless they're like characters who are already dead or were one-offs and they were retired before she died. It's clear they put a lot of thought into what they're going to do with their characters though. It's not just one thing. Like Maud, her VA stepped down because she wanted more money. So they decided to kill off her character and replace her when she came back as a ghost in a couple episodes. They must have worked something out because she did return to the role in 2002, obviously just voicing ghosts on flashbacks, which is a surprise to me. I've seen a few videos on it, and all those videos always say that she never came back to the role, but I feel like the wiki would be more verified than a couple random videos. I'm sure some guy with too much time on his hands has verified the wiki, or at least most of the information on it. So back to Milhouse and I guess other characters. Do I know what they're going to do? No. The information is probably out there somewhere, I just can't find it. Next week is Pamela's last performance, and I don't even know that that's common knowledge because I've seen a lot of people saying that we're probably going to have Milhouse's voice until the end of season 36. And I don't know if that's even public knowledge because I've already watched a couple videos on Milhouse and nobody mentions that. I mean, obviously it's public knowledge, I just don't know how many people have actually read the posts. But yeah, they did specify it's her final performance as Milhouse, so unless Milhouse just randomly disappears for 18 episodes and then she appears as her other characters, I feel like she's being recast. At least for the rest of season 36. Milhouse is a pretty prominent character, and unless he gets edited out of episodes, which would require them all to be minor appearances or one-liners, I assume the voice is going to have to be changed. There are some Disney Plus specials coming out, which are realistically just season 35 episodes they've had to move around, like with your Family Guy specials. Apparently Milhouse is going to appear in the double-length Christmas episode, and Pamela is still going to voice him. I assume this was probably dubbed before the last episode she's in, and whoever's written this post got a bit confused. Or they're just specifying that the Treehouse of Horror thing was the last thing she recorded, and there's all this mumbo-jumbo that's going to confuse people. But yeah, I don't think people are going to be happy with these Disney Plus specials, because we live in the South Park special era, where all their specials are like double-length two-parters. Like, most people call their holiday episodes the holiday special or something. It's not guaranteed to be double-length. At least we do know the first of the episodes is double-length, so that should keep people quiet. But I feel like the others are just regular episodes unless they've randomly pulled the episode to make it double-length, or even just that little bit longer. I mean, they have had a year. Who's to say that the Christmas episode wasn't originally one episode and now they've extended it? That would seem incredibly unlikely, but it's possible. I mean, people are mad that the Family Guy specials aren't double length or anything, but like, they're being aired early because their season got pushed to next year. If anything, they've got less time to work on the episodes and people are mad that they aren't double length. So yeah, Pamela in double-length Christmas episode, which is a Disney Plus special. The other two specials are coming on undisclosed dates in 2025, but if Milhouse is in them, she might appear as the voice, or if the recast has happened, if there's a recast, they might use that voice instead. Either way, despite the claims that the next Treehouse of Horror is Pamela's final performance, there's still that Christmas special to look forward to, and I do assume there's going to be a recast. All the signs just seem to be pointing to it. Anyway, with that very basic point summed up in a very complicated way, I'm gonna leave forever now. If you want to hear me say more about The Simpsons, make sure to click on the current state of The Simpsons video, or whatever it's called at this point. I talk a little bit more about voice actors and stuff, and also don't forget to like and subscribe.